Hello, and welcome to MRA's 5-Minute HR Feed, the podcast where we share quick and practical information. In the time it takes you to go grab a cup of coffee, you'll gain insights into hot topics and pressing HR issues. I'm your host, Nicole Morehouse, and we're glad you're listening. Before we start, here's our usual disclaimer that the information being shared is not and should not be considered legal advice. Now let's dive into our topic.
Today, we're talking about two phrases that can either sound inspiring or maybe mildly terrifying, depending on how they're introduced. Today, we're discussing cross-training and knowledge transfer. If you've ever heard, we're going to cross-train everyone and thought, restructuring ahead, you're definitely not alone. So let's cover why cross-training and knowledge transfer are actually great for both employees and businesses. We'll talk about some ways to do it without making it feel like nonsensical work, and how to keep it from sounding like a secret plan to replace people with other people. I'm assuming we all know what cross-training means. As at a basic level, it's when other employees learn skills from other employees so that they can help out when needed. Think of times like when someone goes on a leave of absence, you have a sudden retirement, maybe there's a drastic increase or change in business demand, and things like that. It's not meant to be used or deployed as multitasking forever. Instead, you're building capability and flexibility over time. Knowledge transfer, on the other hand, is making sure that vital information doesn't live in just one person's head. Some of it's going to be easy to write down, and that information that's in their head, they can put down, they can put it into a set of instructions. But some of it's implicit knowledge. Think of lessons that are learned from experience, shortcuts that are learned over time, lessons from past failures, and being part of a historical sequence of events. If written down, sometimes this information does not make much sense. Therefore, it might be best to transfer the information in more conversational types of learning like job shadowing and mentoring. Here's why both cross-training and knowledge transfer are critical. Without them, you might experience things like a single point of failure. So, for example, someone needs an emergency leave of absence, and you have no one that can step in to support a long-standing client. Your organization might lack agility. If you can't pivot successfully when priorities change, that's a problem. You might lack collaboration. If there's not a real-world awareness with the correct people in the organization of what it takes to do the work, the organization might assume that anyone can step in and do it. So Jane Doe, for example, might be a whiz in her current role, but will she be able to step in or step up into a different role? You might also experience hindered skill identification. You might have a whole bunch of whizzes on your team, and those employees that have skills are not, those skills won't be fully realized until those employees are given the opportunity to use them. Now that we're all convinced that knowledge transfer and cross-training are good, and I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you're already there, let's talk about some ways to do this without turning everyone's calendar into a game of Tetris. And if that's dating me, that's dating me. Here's a simple approach that works in real life, whether you're whatever industry you're in, manufacturing, healthcare, maybe you're in retail, maybe you already run a small but mighty team where everyone on your team wears multiple hats. First, think about prioritizing coverage critical tasks. Start with the things that would cause real problems if only one person could do it, and if that person were no longer there, things would not go well. This is probably going to be a pretty short list because these are super mission critical items. Make sure you're using the right learning format. Maybe you have to use multiple learning formats. Maybe that's job shadowing, short-term rotational assignments, using checklists, job aids, maybe it's mentoring, maybe it's having after-action reviews. Different knowledge probably needs different methods of knowledge transfer. Take things in small bites. Make sure that you're not blowing this out of control where it consumes work of other people. People still have to get their day job done. So make sure that you maybe are limiting things to 30-minute sessions max, or maybe you're limiting to having these activities within a certain number of hours per week and also within a set window. So having it an end date. Don't turn the knowledge transfer or the cross training into a second job or a forever sort of situation for either party. Look at using this as an opportunity to build sustainable documentation. Having 1 page of documentation is way better than 0 pages. So capture what you can. Think of this as like what is the task? When is it happening? And who are you going to ask when things get weird? Maybe use confirmation, confirm things that are going well with the knowledge transfer or the cross training by implementing some role reversals in the training. So the expert is, performing the task and the learner is learning the task, but then switch that role around. Lastly, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Sometimes knowledge transfer and cross training land poorly with employees. We all know that. It's a natural reaction. It's a reaction of fear that change is coming. It's really important to understand that the fear is real. It's a legitimate reason for being fearful. When people fear jobs insecurity, they're going to probably be less likely to speak up, share ideas, be candid. And that's really the opposite of what you need. So the why you're doing this matters just as much as what you're trying to accomplish. Here are some ways to do knowledge transfer and cross-training without triggering replacement panic. Focus on sustainability. Define all of this as a job benefit. Include it as part of your career pathing and professional development programs. Ask for volunteers. Set clear boundaries so that things do not get out of control or there aren't individuals that take this initiative to a next level when they shouldn't be. Encourage feedback. Of course, reward successes. And lastly, do what you say and say what you do. At the end of the day, employees need to feel confident without a doubt that cross-training and knowledge transfer are part of the organization's regular culture. Companies subject to Sarbanes-Oxley or SOX might be a good example of this. In those organizations, this culture is just plain normal, simple as that. When this initiative is done well, employees know the business is protecting the business for sustainability. If done well, it actually can reduce stress, build confidence, build skills, and maybe as an added benefit, make teams kinder to each other when life happens. With that, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for listening to MRA's 5-Minute HR Feed. Be sure to follow and connect with us for more podcasts and updates. If you're a member and have questions, you can always connect with MRA's 24/7 HR hotline by emailing info.now@mranet.org or by calling 866-474-6854.